Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, ISGF, for giving me the opportunity to be a part of this panel. And I'm always lucky to have a post-lunch session when everybody is supercharged after lunch to listen to people talking. Anyways, please bear with me for another 10 minutes. I hope to keep it interesting. Little bit about me. I am the co-founder of a non-profit organization called Null. If you are not aware, this is one of the largest self-funded, vendor-neutral non-profit organization. Purely works for knowledge sharing and skill set development for cybersecurity. We have around 9 chapters in India, and all chapters run monthly meetings. They are free for anyone to attend, and we have sessions, anything that relates to IT security or cyber security. We have sessions on that, and we also have 2 international chapters, one in Amsterdam and one in Singapore. So wherever you are, you may find some chapter meet in one of the cities. The portal is null.co.in. As sir already mentioned, I also organize a cybersecurity conference in Goa called NullCon. Other than that, I also founded a company called Paido Software Labs. I am right now responsible for research and development within the company, where I spend most of the money that comes in, and my co-founders really hate me for this. I just buy devices and I just do my research on that. Hopefully someday we'll come up with something to secure IoT and critical infrastructure. All right, so this is the agenda for my talk. I'm going to just touch upon this talk because it's, I think, around 30 minutes talk. But you can stop me, ask me questions if you have any questions specific to any of the slides that I have. So IoT, I don't think I need to define what IoT is, but different people have different perspectives of what IoT is. It's seen as a new technology that has come up, something like cloud, where you put your services online, and then there's a whole bandwagon of companies and people calling, hey, we are cloud enabled and this is cloud, it's all up there. It's more or less seamlessly integrating the current technology that is there. I mean, IoT has been there for years in manufacturing and critical infrastructure. Why, sudden boom in IoT now? So from my perspective, I would say IoT is something that creates a bridge between the physical and the virtual world, where the solutions enable companies as well as consumers get real-time data on what the sensors or the devices are specifically supposed to do. For example, car manufacturers now, can get real-time data on anything that is happening within the car. Home appliances, you can get real-time data of what's happening at your home, whether it's thermostat, AC, fridge, toaster, whatever. Now, the problem with IoT here is that so once the name became popular, Internet of Things, everybody jumped the bandwagon, and we are going to develop IoT products. And if you see in the market now, there is a smart thing for everything that was supposedly dumb before. So you have smart plugs, you have, I don't know, you may have smart tables, smart chairs, whatever, whatnot. So since you have a lot of companies coming in, jumping in to create different solutions, innovating in the IoT space, and you will have speed to market, which means that you're going to forget about some of the pain points. Your basic aim would be to reach the market as soon as possible. So you would let go of security and a lot of other things. Some of the times vendors do even let go of functional testing of the IoT devices, which causes serious issues when it's deployed in the premises. Again, no motivation for security and little awareness about security. So some people are still, so we'll come to the difference between software and hardware security, but a lot of companies, when they start, they don't think about certain security aspects. Like when I speak to local startups here, their perspective of how security should be for an IoT is way or totally different than a startup in Europe or a startup in US. So some things that they would just wave off from a security perspective, like somebody can try and attack from the local Wi-Fi as well. So they just say, it's local Wi-Fi. Why is somebody going to attack me from the local Wi-Fi? I'm still protected within the infrastructure, which is not the case. All right, so we would like to think that when it comes to software security, we are perfect or somewhere near that. It is true to an extent because we have standards, we have policies, we have processes around software security. So when you talk about application security, there are a lot of products and a lot of services that will help you find critical issues within the software and help you mitigate. So you have open secure SDLC program like Microsoft has SDL. You implement it, you at least get to a level where you can have basic hygiene or more than basic hygiene on how your software should be secure. The problem with IoT is it's not just software security. You have a small piece which is called the sensor, which is nothing but a piece of hardware sitting somewhere sensing or doing some action. And when it comes to hardware security, in the 90s it was okay. When you spoke about hardware, it was desktops, laptops, servers, routers, that's it. But now when you talk about hardware, everything is smart. You have phones, you have plugs, you have, as I mentioned, tables. I don't know what all things are going to be smart. And this is where one of the challenges, because we don't have any standards for hardware security. So when you come up with a product idea, you quickly hack up Arduino or Raspberry Pi, or you create your small board and just forget about some of the basic hygiene that you need to take care for at least the hardware. So this reminds me of a movie from, I forgot the name, but in that movie, Nana Patekar cuts his hand and cuts another person's hand and mixes the blood and says, now tell me which is Hindu blood, which is Muslim blood. So from hardware perspective, as far as the IoT is concerned, when you look at the hardware layer, it does not matter what the functionality of the device is, whether it is a meter or whether it's a smartphone or whether it's smart X device. The benefit of attacking hardware is that you can leverage the hardware layer to gain access into the software and then onto the cloud or the whole infrastructure. So this is besides attacks specifically on hardware. So if you are attacking hardware, you need to have physical proximity. And let's say there is a security camera that you want to disable or do something. Now you need physical access to go and attack the hardware, do whatever you want to do. But think of from a perspective of a product. I don't want to specifically attack one camera, but I want to find out vulnerabilities in, let's say, Godrej cameras or any camera. So I buy a piece of camera, I use the hardware to get access to the device itself, and then I start finding vulnerabilities in the software. Yeah, so attack surface, the major attack surface that I see specifically to IoT is the device, the cloud, and the mobile. So the cloud is where all of the data is going to be stored in the future. So whatever the sensor does, it's not going to store or do data management on its own. It's going to be a very small device that pushes all the data onto the cloud. And you will obviously have mobile to access either the device or the cloud. All right, so starting with device, these are the common things that you may find when you're looking at the attack surface for the device. So you have standard services which you can attack. You have the firmware which you can reverse, find out vulnerabilities within the proprietary binaries. Then you have the hardware itself. So you can basically analyze, scan for debug interfaces on the hardware, try and see if you can get shell access to the device itself. And then there is the SD card and USB storage. So one interesting case study, so from the storage perspective, people usually do not take that much care. So we find a lot of issues only through the SD card and the USB, but one very recent was a USB. So this is a home appliance, and it uses a USB-like connector to make it smart, so that the USB device itself has the configuration data and a Wi-Fi module. So as soon as you connect to it, the whole appliance becomes smart and gets access to the vendor cloud. This is specifically, so the device was specifically used for making recipes. So it's a food processing machine. So if you look at the configuration files for this, I mean, everything was perfect in the device. They had SSL implementation for all communication that goes out from the device to the app over the cloud. The cloud was pretty secure. They had SSL pinning within the device so that you cannot do man in the middle and snoop the SSL communication between the device and the cloud. Everything was perfect until we saw a compressed file, which was used to restore the configuration and the database if it gets corrupted onto the device. And all we did was just attach system files onto this. We knew it might be running, it was running Linux. So we attached, we actually pushed or patched it with the system files like the password file and the daemon configuration files. And result is, as soon as we connected the USB, we directly got access to the system itself. So just with one configuration file. All right. So I think I'm out of time here, but I'll just talk about the crux of it. Web is pretty straightforward. Startups at least, do not follow any web hygiene when it comes to securing the devices. I mean, this is the most basic thing that any company would do when writing a product. Yeah. So the another aspect is radio. Some people will again think that this sensor uses RF frequency X.X whatever, which is not a standard protocols, and there are no devices which can do man in the middle or sniff the data. There are cheap devices available. So one of them is called HackRF1, which is from a dear friend, Michael Osman. You can use HackRF to sniff, inject radio payloads on. So this is protocol independent. All you need to do is just write protocol parsers for it. Yeah, so some of the findings for another product, camera. Yeah, web vulnerabilities, firmware not encrypted, gives root shell directly if you look at the debug interfaces, and it's pretty easy to find out debug interface. All you need to do is just all you need is a multimeter to scan, check for the UART pins for transceive and receive. Mobile, again, it's a standard. There is a standard on OWASP for mobile as well as web, which is pretty standard. They are coming up with IoT security standard, which is pretty basic as of now. Yeah, so this is another smart plug from a Chinese vendor. The app communicates with the smart plug, and the communication is encrypted. So everything is fine. Just one thing that it does is it does not send commands directly to the plug, but it broadcasts it. Quick look on the mobile app for it shows that there is a native library which implements the encryption routines, and the encryption routine itself, when you reverse engineer, you find out that the routine itself is symmetric and the key is hard-coded within the native library. All right, I won't take much time on this. Cloud, again, very major problem with the cloud is because all the user data is stored on cloud, and Fitbit had a vulnerability where I don't know how they measured the sexual activity of the users who were wearing Fitbit devices, but yeah, it was publicly available. So you could just search on Google for Fitbit sexual activity, and it would show you the activity of all the users. I think they've already fixed it last year. Yeah, so my 2 cents, don't reinvent the wheel. Use standards. Don't create your own standards like UDP broadcasting over a non-standard port and sending encrypted payload. Don't do that. Use HTTPS. Use normal standards. Train your developers. Now, most of the startups, when I talk to them, they say we don't have that much funds. you don't need funds to write secure code. All you need is a laptop and a browser. Just type google.com, say web security tutorials. Yeah, I think that's about it for this. Yeah, I think that's it from my side. If you have questions, we can take it now or maybe later.
Perhaps we can take it later.
Yeah, yeah,
Thanks, Aseem.
yeah.
And I'd request